They say the cornfields of Dunstable whisper at night, that the wind that runs through them isn't just wind. It's something older, something that remembers. The town of Dunstable, Maine, wasn't on most maps, and the folks who lived there liked it that way. One main street, two churches, a high school football team that hadn't won a game in years, and more cornfields than houses. The kind of town where secrets don't stay buried, but sometimes bodies do. It was the summer of 1986 when it happened. I was 16 and working weekends for Old Man Carver, who ran the grain mill on the north edge of town. Carver was a strange man, always mumbling about how the land was watching. Most folks said he was senile. Maybe he was, but I remember the way he used to stare at the fields like they were staring back. One morning in late July, Carver didn't open the mill. By noon, Sheriff Tully broke down the door and found him sitting upright in his chair, eyes wide, mouth agape, skin the color of ash, dead as a doornail. No signs of struggle, just gone. And on the wall behind him, scratched into the wood, was a single word, seed. That same week, a boy went missing. Jimmy Keene, 11 years old, skinny as a beanpole, always running through the fields like a rabbit on fire. His mom said he'd gone out to catch fireflies and never came back. Sheriff Tully organized a search party, and we walked rows and rows of corn until our legs gave out and our voices were hoarse from shouting. Nothing. No footprints, no clothing, no signs of struggle. Just rows of corn, swaying in the breeze, whispering like they had something to say. After Carver's death, I stopped going to the mill. But one night, I wandered past it on my bike. The place looked different, abandoned, hollow. But the strangest part was the field behind it. The corn was taller than it should have been. Much taller. 9 feet, maybe 10. And it shimmered silver under the moonlight like it was made of something not entirely plant. I heard something out there, a rustle too rhythmic for wind. Then a sound, low and wet, like breathing through water. I didn't stick around. The next day, I told my father. He laughed and said, "Too many horror books, kiddo." But that night, he didn't go out on the porch like he usually did. More people started hearing things. Whispers. At first, it was just older folks. Mrs. Linney, who hadn't left her house in 10 years, called the radio station claiming the corn was speaking to her in Latin. Then the school janitor started scrawling strange symbols on the locker doors. Curved, spindly things that looked like roots or veins. Pastor Burke delivered a sermon warning of false gods growing from the earth. Kids at school dared each other to spend the night in the fields. One did. Tommy Landers. He came back pale, shaking, his fingernails black with dirt. He wouldn't speak, not even to his mom. It all came to a head the night of the harvest moon. The corn had grown taller still. People said it was blotting out the stars. There were reports of animals vanishing, dogs, cats, even cattle. No blood, no signs of a fight. Just gone. That night, the air felt heavy. The sky turned the color of rust. I couldn't sleep, so I wandered out to the edge of the field, drawn by something I couldn't name. That's when I saw them. Figures in the corn. Human shapes, but wrong. Too long, too thin. Limbs that bent in ways they shouldn't. Skin like burlap stretched over bone. And their eyes black, hollow, endless. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. The field spoke for them. It whispered one word over and over. Seed. I ran. I don't remember how I got home. I locked every door, every window. That night, 3 houses burned to the ground. No one saw who did it, but each fire started near a field. And in the ashes, they found more of those symbols. And something else. Teeth. Human. Tiny. Like a child's. The town went quiet after that. Curfews. Lockdowns. Folks started moving away. By Christmas, half the population was gone. Now it's 30 years later. I live in Boston, married, 2 kids. I don't talk about Dunstable much, but last week I got a letter. No return address. Just one word on the envelope: seed. Inside was a photo of my son, standing in a cornfield, and behind him, something long and thin and grinning. The field remembers. It always remembers. I dropped the photo and backed away like it had burned me. My wife came into the room, asking what was wrong, but I couldn't speak. The picture lay on the floor, face up. My son, Jason, smiling, unaware of the thing behind him. Its crooked grin stretched across a face that looked sewn together from old leather and shadows. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat by Jason's bed, watching him breathe, half expecting his chest to stop moving. At 3:17 a.m., I heard it again, outside, through the cracked window. Whispers, so soft I thought I imagined them, but they were real. The next morning, I left for Dunstable. The town had aged like a corpse left out in the sun. Boards nailed over memories. The church was nothing more than rubble and a bent iron cross. But the cornfields, God, the cornfields were alive. They towered now like walls, thick and humming, the color of rotting gold. The fields pulsed, like veins swollen with old blood. I stopped by the grain mill. Rust had eaten the doors, but the building stood. Barely. I circled around back and found the old cellar doors. I remembered playing hide and seek back there with Jimmy Keene. He disappeared that summer, and now I knew where. The cellar doors groaned when I pried them open. A wave of warm air hit my face. Moist, earthy, and faintly metallic, like blood left to rot in a tin cup. I descended slowly, my flashlight flickering. But I didn't find the cellar. I found a tunnel. The tunnel wasn't man-made. The walls were too organic, packed earth with fibrous roots that reached like fingers. The symbols were carved everywhere. Curved lines, spiral stalks, and one image that made me shudder. A child with no face, sprouting like a plant from the soil. I heard whispers. They grew louder as I descended. Whispers saying names. My name, Jason's name, Carver's name, Keene's name. I should have turned back, but something pulled me forward, like I was walking downhill inside my own dream. The tunnel ended in a chamber. The walls glowed faintly with a sickly green light, and there at the center stood a figure, thin, tall, wearing a skin that looked like old burlap and moving with jerks, like a puppet whose strings were pulled by shaking hands. Its face was a stretched parody of human expression, stitched lips and hollow eyes. It smiled without muscles, and though it said nothing aloud, I heard it in my head. The field remembers. You were sown. Now you harvest. I blacked out. I woke up in the field, morning sun glaring. My hands were raw. My mouth tasted like dirt. In front of me, God help me, was a shallow grave I had dug myself. And in that grave, half buried, was Jason's baseball cap. My legs gave out. I screamed until my throat bled. No one came, just the wind, and the corn, and the whispering. That was 3 years ago. We never found Jason. The police ruled it a runaway case, said I was under stress. Therapy, medication, polite nods from people who didn't understand that the earth had taken my son. But the worst part? Every year since then, on the night of the harvest moon, I get a new envelope. No return address, just one word on the back. Seed. Inside a photo. Jason standing in a cornfield. And behind him, the figure. Taller now, closer. And Jason, he's not smiling anymore. His eyes are black. They say the cornfields of Dunstable whisper at night. They say the field remembers. They're wrong. It never forgot. And this time it's planting me.